The Spring Boot Actuator module makes it easy to surface information about your Spring Boot application. You've got your usual suspects, the health endpoint, the metrics endpoint, the env endpoint, etc. They're the easy button for observability. The Spring Boot Actuator module is also extensible. I often wonder when I find a microservice in the wild what class path dependencies it has. What is the effective class path of that module? So I built a Spring Boot Actuator endpoint to help me figure this out. To try it out, go to the Spring Initializer and generate a new project. Make sure to add a web runtime, either reactive or traditional imperative blocking I/O, and to add the Spring Boot Actuator module itself. Click Generate and open in your IDE of choice. Now, add the custom dependencies actuator module to your class path, like this. Make sure you haven't hidden the actuator endpoints with some configuration. Here, I'm exposing all actuator endpoints. This is just a demo, friends. If you're running on the JRE using a typical Spring Boot fat jar construction, it'll just work with both Maven and Gradle. See, things get trickier when you create a native image. The java.class.path system property that the actuator endpoints depends on in the JRE isn't there in an AOT and GraalVM native image context. You'll need to configure your build tools to capture information about your class path and write it out to a file, which is actually perfect if you think about it. In a GraalVM native image world, your dependencies are fixed. Your build time class path is also your runtime class path, whereas that may not be true on the JRE. Both Maven and Gradle have mechanisms for capturing the build time class path and dumping it out to a text file, so we'll just reuse those. The syntax I'm using here for Gradle is the Groovy language DSL, but there is an example using Kotlin on the GitHub repository, and anyway, it's basically the same, varying only where the language syntaxes force a distinction. Configure your build and then kick off a GraalVM native image compile. Easy. There you have it. This actuator endpoint makes it trivial to understand what dependencies your application has. Ask your doctor if supply chain and bill of materials dependency management are right for you.